Hey everyone, welcome to our fall 2022 webinar, Leading by Example. We are very thankful that you're able to join us today. We're excited to see a lot of familiar names, but also a lot of new names as well. And most importantly, we're hopeful that you'll be able to take something away from today and apply it to your either personal or professional life going forward.
CUYLM recognizes the importance of land acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge that we live and work on treaty lands. Connor and I are speaking from Treaty 1 territory, and we are being joined by attendees from across Manitoba in Treaties 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These lands include the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Ojibwe, Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation.
Thanks, Megan. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Connor Gosen. I am currently on the CUYLM Executive Committee, and I am a corporate lending account manager at Steinbach Credit Union.
Hey everyone, my name is Megan Andrews. I'm the manager, branch service and operations at Westoba Credit Union, and I am currently the vice chair on CUYLM.
Before we jump into the webinar, we're just going to do a few housekeeping items. So first and foremost, this webinar, we're going to aim for it to have it be about an hour. We don't want to hold you too far past that. If you didn't see the notification when you logged in, the webinar is being recorded. We're hopeful to the people who couldn't attend today that they can view it as well. Everyone is muted by default. However, we do want this to be an interactive webinar. So if you do have questions during the webinar, we would ask that you direct messages in the chat to either the Credit Union Young Leaders host or co-host. We have a couple people who will be receiving questions. Feel free to ask it to them. They'll pass it along to us. And then, yeah, we'll try to incorporate your questions as we go.
This is the agenda for the next hour. We're going to introduce our panelists, ask them some questions, and then at the end, we have some engagement questions for the attendees.
Okay, so now we are going to, hey, guess what? I stopped sharing just a second too early.
Sure did,
We
Connor.
are going to introduce our host. No big deal. So I'm going to introduce our first guest speaker and panelist, Amanda Gilchrist. Amanda Gilchrist is currently leading the South and West Districts of Assiniboine Credit Union as Director of Advice and Service Delivery. She has extensive experience in financial services, having worked at ACU for over 17 years. Amanda has a background in education, having obtained her teaching degree at the University of Winnipeg. Amanda is also a certified Each One, Teach One financial literacy trainer. Amanda is passionate about cooperatives as a means of the betterment of our communities, as well as the importance of young voices within those cooperatives. Most recently, Amanda was awarded the 2021 National Young Leader Award and sits on the National Young Leader Committee. In 2021, Amanda was also the vice chair of CUYLM. Some very fun facts about Amanda is she plays the piano, she can't swim. However, Spotify Rap 2021 said she was in the top 5% of Taylor Swift fans, very prestigious. And she loves to travel, having recently just come back from Disney World.
So I'm going to introduce Rob Unruh. Rob's professional mission is to improve the financial health of his community. He has pursued this mission through a 16-year career in the credit union system. Rob currently leads the transition team at Access Credit Union. Rob has completed several professional designations, including his MBA through Royal Roads University. He contributes much of his professional growth to participation in the Credit Union Young Leader movement. He is an alumni of CUYLM and a current member of the National Young Leader Committee. Some fun facts on Rob are, he grew up in Germany. He once walked 24 hours straight just for fun. Rob, not sure that's fun, but okay. He is a history nerd and is beyond excited for Soccer's World Cup at the end of the month.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
And our last guest speaker and panelist is none other than Stacy Gill. Stacy is currently the Director of Human Resources at Fusion Credit Union. She has been in the credit union system for over 10 years now, with 7 of those years in formal leadership roles. Stacy is currently our CUYLM chair, and we're very sad to see her leave at the end of this year. She holds a Bachelor of Commerce honors degree from the Asper School of Business at the University of Manitoba. She's also a Chartered Professional in Human Resources designation, as well as the General Business Studies Program certificate, the FCUYC. Some fun facts about Stacy. She really enjoys golfing, even her skills are failing her. I have golfed with her and her skills do not fail her. She's very, very good at golf, and she's good at handling bears when they come on the course. She is an avid traveler, having visited unique countries including Iceland, Thailand, Costa Rica, Fiji, Australia, and New Zealand. Her cat's name is Superstore, not to be confused with Superstar at the vet. And she enjoys all 4 seasons in Manitoba, with summer being the best one. She's a big fan of lake life, whether it be boating, skiing, paddleboarding, bonfires. She's here for all of it.
All right. So now we're going to step in to the main part of our webinar where you get to hear from our panelists. This question is going to be for all 3 of you, but Amanda, we're going to start with you. So can you tell us what impact did your involvement in CUYLM have on your leadership journey?
Thanks, Megan, and thanks everyone for joining today. Really excited to get the opportunity to chat with everyone. So yeah, I would say that joining CUYLM had an immeasurable impact on my leadership journey, certainly. When I started with CUYLM, I was an individual contributor, so I was a financial account manager, we call it at ACU. Hadn't started my leadership journey truly at all until I started with the CUYLM committee, and it truly opened my eyes to collaboration with others, the leadership that I felt that I had in myself, and being able to exercise that and develop that in a safe space with other young leaders. Yeah, it definitely had a huge impact on me. Allowed me to dip my toes into leadership in a way that I really wasn't aware that I had in myself until I was able to connect with other young leaders within the system. I also was on my CUYLM leadership journey through the beginning and middle of the pandemic, which we still feel like we're a part of right now because we're connecting via Zoom. But I was actually our vice chair March 2020 when the pandemic hit. So we really had to pivot as a committee, and I felt like that also had a large impact on me, so that I was truly able to develop those change management skills that are so important as a leader. We had to completely shift our strategic goals for both the year and for the next few years. And I feel like that was a huge impact on me, and I was able to have a huge impact on the committee through my work on that strategic plan. Getting to know the credit union system more intimately through Manitoba, I think was also a huge thing, to be able to build my leadership network, to be able to connect with other people, be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is what's going on over here. Have you ever had that at your credit union? Huge in developing those leadership skills as well.
Thanks, Amanda. Rob, we're going to switch it over to you now. If you could tell us what impact involvement in CUYLM had on your leadership journey.
Sure. Just before I get going, I know the CUYLM group on here is a super humble bunch, and they're not going to make a shout out for this, but I will. Huge congratulations on you guys for winning the MCA's Youth Leadership Award. Congrats, super well done. Proud of you guys, and happy to be part of the alumni team. So, young leaders on my leadership journey. I think one of the biggest benefits is it certainly gives you exposure to the greater credit union system. I think often, we work in the trenches in our own credit unions, and we're surrounded by people who work in the same trenches, and it just gives you an opportunity to peek out and see what's in the world beyond this. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned there. On my own career trajectory, I think certainly in my organization, where there's a lot of competition for career advancements, it helps you stand out from the crowd. Execs love seeing their credit union get recognized in the larger credit union system, and being part of the young leaders groups gives you an opportunity to do that. And there's certainly opportunity that comes with it if you do it well. And then lastly, you get to network with some super interesting, high-performing people. I call many of you on this call friends, and we certainly talk about different business challenges. And I'm now part of the larger national young leaders group, and there's certainly people in that group who I consider mentors. And when I face a business challenge, I can call them up and often come up with a much better solution than I could if I was not part of the young leader system.
I agree, Rob. That's probably one of my favorite parts as well, is just the collaboration amongst our group is really great. Thank you. Stacy, on to you. You're still in us, but you could tell us a little bit.
I'm still here. Yes. Thank you, Megan and Colin, for the intro and the question. So, yeah, I think that really the committee started to positively impact my leadership journey, I think long before I even joined the executive committee. I attended my first CUYLM conference. I think it was in 2014 or 15. And it was at that conference that I took my first behavioral or personality assessment. And I learned so much from that tool about myself. And it was just such a huge takeaway for my own personal and professional life. The next conference that was held, I attended, and during my first human life degree, and had that exposure to that network of really well-established leaders in the credit system, and had a chance to learn from them. So that was really neat. And then, so since joining the committee, it's really brought me the same experiences that Rob had touched on, and just brought that opportunity to learn from other young leaders, the different backgrounds and interests and areas of the credit union system. It's really, it's at times it's put me out of my comfort zone to experience just some of those different topics of conversations or even situations where I might be speaking in front of a group on our panel, but it's all an awesome learning experience, and I'll benefit from it. And I just always felt that leadership is a personal and professional journey, and I've gained so many new connections through CUYLM who have helped me, grow personally and professionally over the last couple of years. And I'm sure that the relationships will continue to positively impact my leadership journey.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you all three of you for answering that first question for us. For the next question, Amanda, I'm going to start with you. So the question is, how do you continue to grow and develop as a leader?
Yeah, I think that being a continuous learner is huge. I think that none of us are finished with our leadership journey, even through personal courses, professional designation. We never stop learning. So it's really important to acknowledge that and continue through that process, whether it be courses, whether it be podcasts. I'm an avid podcast listener, in the car, put one on. When I'm doing dishes, I put a podcast on, especially the leadership development ones. There's a lot that are out there, and I know that some are highlighted on the CUYLM Learning Commons as well to go check out. So I think that's a really important thing. Again, connecting with other leaders. I think that we as a credit union system have such an opportunity to be a sounding board for each other in a safe space in our leadership journeys. So continuing to connect with other young leaders. One thing that has been huge for me as well is mentorship. So not just me as a mentee, finding a really good mentor, which I think obviously is extremely important, those connections and relationships, but also stepping into the mentorship role has been huge as well. Even throughout my beginning leadership journey, realizing that yes, I have a lot to bring to the table as a leader and as a mentor, and finding a mentee and having that connection and that relationship has been huge as I develop and continue to develop as a leader. So I would say that anyone who's looking to develop mentorship, either as a mentor or mentee, is huge, and definitely seek out those relationships either organically within your own institutions or through the CUYLM mentorship program as well.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad to hear that that mentor-mentee program is working. We run our program through our own CUYLM committee here, so I'm very happy to hear the positive feedback. I'm sure those who have created the program are happy to hear that as well. I think we'll keep doing it going forward. We hear a lot of positive feedback there. Stacy, you're all good if I ask you the next question as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so how do you continue to grow and develop as a leader?
Sure. There might be issues with my audio, but hopefully I'll just maybe talk a little better and slower possibly, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, continuing to grow and develop as a leader. So I would say that one way that I have grown as a leader over the past few years has been to fill my surroundings with great leaders and learning from them. There's so many great leaders in the credit union system that have created an amazing experience for me, and I've learned a lot from those individuals. Whether it's at my own credit union or through CUYLM and other groups. So just really taking note of their different leadership styles, see how I can grow or develop some of those same skills for myself so that I can provide that same experience and opportunities to other people around. Going forward, I mean, I am in human resources, so I build out leadership competencies in my own performance planning. So just always making sure to set some goals and action plans for myself. Continuing to attend different leadership seminars and workshops, and try to fill my social media as well with good leadership content to get the junk stuff out of there and the good stuff in. And just also plan to utilize some of the resources that CUYLM has on their website through the Learning Commons, just to stay up to date, educated.
Awesome. Okay. Hey, Amanda, we had a question for more specifics on some podcasts. So if you're willing to share, if you even just want to throw them in the chat, if you feel comfortable, great. If not, I think you said a few of them were on our website as well under our Learning Commons.
For sure. Yeah, I can throw some in closer to the end there, but I would say not just your leadership podcast, but also daily news podcasts, just keeping up to date with current events, super important as well, expanding sort of your point of view of the world. But yeah, I can throw some in there for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. All right, Rob, it's your turn. Can you tell us what the best piece of leadership advice that you have received is?
Tough to filter down to one. I've been the benefactor of a bunch of great leadership advice. The one that I think does stand out for me, though, is to come up with a professional mission. And I shared mine as part of the, Megan, you shared it as part of my introduction, which is to improve the financial well-being of my community. And here's why. I think career advancements and, the authority and quote unquote power and the money that comes with it, that is, attractive in the short term, but it will not satisfy you in the long term. That you get there and then a month later, it's like, now I have this and now what? You need a deeper reason to make the sacrifices you make as a leader. And a number of years ago, I penned mine, which is, to improve the financial well-being of my community. And I'm quite involved in my community as well. I'm on a local community foundation board, etc. So I see the impact that poverty or lack of money has on, for example, the lineups at the local food cupboard. Divorce rates are far higher as a result of a lack of money or money fights within marriages. Lack of money results in poor housing, or certainly for those less privileged than us in our community. So by having my mission be to improve the financial well-being, it gives me just that deeper sense of meaning, where it's like, career opportunities and the money that comes with and all that, that's not where I find my fulfillment. I get my fulfillment in really investing in my community. And that's probably the best piece of leadership advice that I've received.
I love that, Rob. I find a lot of us on CUYLM, and I mean outside CUYLM as well, also have those same values and goals. So it's great when you get to hear it from someone. Next, Amanda, same thing for you. What's the best piece of leadership advice you've received?
Yeah, I think the best piece of leadership advice I've received has been around when to take the jump for opportunities. So when to choose the opportunity, how to choose those opportunities, when it's time, when you've gotten a bit too comfortable, maybe in a certain role, and when it's time to sort of stretch that comfortability and move on to the next. I was part of a human library where we had a leader come in, and the question was asked around, when do you know it's time to go? And she said, when you've gotten too comfortable, when it feels sort of rote, when it feels like muscle memory, that's when it's time to take on a new challenge. So that's something I've taken on within my career is how to think critically about each opportunity that comes along, and how that's going to help you in your own leadership journey, bring you to the next step. But also on the flip side, I've thought a lot about sort of what we as young leaders can really feel as imposter syndrome as we're moving into some of these leadership roles, especially if we're moving into sort of the people leaders, the managers, the directors, etc. And I'll steal a second piece of advice to say to everyone is the opportunity wouldn't be available if it wasn't an opportunity that was made for you. So sometimes when we feel an opportunity isn't, oh, am I ready for this? Is this right for me? Should I go for this? It wouldn't have presented itself if you didn't show that you were ready for this opportunity as well. So definitely thinking critically, knowing when to move to that next opportunity, but also having the courage to know that something, if it's available to you, you're ready for it and you should take the lead.
Thanks, Amanda. That's great advice. Stacy, we're actually going to ask you this one as well. If you could share with us what the best piece of leadership advice you've received is. Oh, we can't hear you right now, Stacy.
There we go. Is this better for audio?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Awesome. Good. Thanks. I made a switch. Best leadership advice I think that I've received, it's probably sounds simple to start, but it was to focus on my communication. And, more specifically, really think about and learn how to be a coach to the people around me, and then, how to also be coached by others. So that was a big part of communication as a first step. And then also communication related to giving feedback. And so that being, positive, and then also constructive feedback. I was once told that not providing positive or constructive feedback to the people around me it can be a disservice to them. So I think that, what I learned from that was that as leaders, it is our responsibility to share feedback and have the right types of conversations with our teams or the people around us to promote growth and positive behaviors. That advice, really showed that the right communication skills are important for some of the crucial conversations that you have to have in your career with the people around you. So communication is key.
Awesome. Hey, thank you all. Those are all awesome, great answers there. Next question, Stacy, I'm going to throw it right back to you right away. What advice do you have for employees who want to step into a leadership role?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess my advice to people wanting to step into the leadership role, when I think about a leadership role, it might mean something different to each individual based on their own career goals. So there might be some people on the call that are interested in management or supervising employees. There might be some already in management, or there's some people who probably just really want to strive to be an expert in their job or their team. And I think that there's certainly a space for leadership in all of those situations based on your own goals. So my advice would be to start out by considering, what are your goals related to leadership? What space do you want to work towards? And, work through those goals with a manager, with a mentor, with a coach. You can do those things on your own, but it's great to have a support system. Once you have your goals, really work to create new opportunities or a plan of how you're going to have experience new leadership opportunities. So you might look internally in your own credit union, and you might find some project teams to be involved in, mentorship opportunities, possibly an internally owned leader group that you could join. There's also great opportunities through CUYLM with the conference and the mentorship program, or our committee itself. And there's lots of different professional development opportunities out there that you can source that help you meet your goals. But yeah, I just would really make sure that you're taking your own time to meet with a mentor or be coached so that you continue to work towards your own personal goals related to leadership.
Another question we had very quickly come in. Have the three of you, have people just kind of approached you as a one-off saying, hey, would you be willing to maybe mentor me for a bit? Is it normally that formal? Is it, you kind of just get the vibe that that's what this is turning into? Or, and Amanda, I'll actually direct that right to you since I was going to ask you this question next.
Sure, yeah. So there have been instances where I've been through formal mentorship programs, either through CUYLM or through my own credit union. But yeah, there have been cases where someone has just approached me and said, you know what, I really loved our conversations about growth, about leadership. Would you be interested in mentoring me? And of course, I said yes. And I've been really happy to mentor that individual. And it doesn't have to always be as formal as we'll meet this day, this time. Sometimes it's just that openness that now that individual feels comfortable to pick up the phone. Hey, what do you think about this? This is what I'm dealing with right now. What are your thoughts here? And then I can talk through with that person. But opening that door, just asking the question, I think is important to set sort of, I'm here for you and I'm interested in your career and I care about what you're doing and how you're developing. So I've been through both, and I think both definitely are important, but just reaching out to somebody, and as leaders, remembering that it's our job as young leaders to keep the door open for the person behind us, right? So to be available as a mentor and interested in other young leaders, because that's how we continue the credit union system for sure.
Awesome. Rob, since we've now moved around a little bit, the original question back to you is advice that you would have for people looking to step into a leadership role.
All right, so I pondered this question a little bit, and the three words that I came up with, which probably have benefited me the most, so I'll share from my own experiences. My advice will be to be curious, to be courageous, and to be humble. And what I mean by that is, I think often when we may be in a not formal leadership role in our organization, and we try and envision a position, and we're like, I'd like to pursue that position one day, and you don't know when it will become available. But what I have found that generally the future is a lot more exciting than we can imagine it to be. So certainly my own career, my title currently is Director of Transitions, and a year ago, I didn't even know what that meant, right? So, what I do is, as many of you know, Access Credit Union has been going through a number of mergers, and we found the need that in order to limit the impact on the core operations of Access Credit Union, we're going to have a designated team to lead the merger projects. And that's what I do. And then certainly when I first started in the credit union system, there's no way I could have imagined that such an opportunity would even exist. So there's that. The future is more exciting than what you can probably envision it to be. But in the meantime, and until that future comes about and those leadership opportunities come about, you just need to invest in yourself. I think life in general it's an exchange of values, right? The compensation I receive is because of the real or perceived value I provide to my organization. And if I invest in myself, I make myself more valuable. And then when those opportunities come about, your own leaders will naturally select you as someone that's probably overqualified for what they do. And if you are courageous and curious, you're going to take those opportunities when they come about.
All right, thanks, Rob. So the three words: curious, courageous, and humble, right?
There you go.
Got it. All right. So next up, Rob, we're going right back to you. Can you tell us what is the biggest challenge you have faced in your career and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of kind of real practical challenges. I mean, my current role, you know, we started a brand new department for something that doesn't, you know, there's not a lot of these types of teams in the credit union system. So that was certainly a real challenge. But seeing this as a leadership conversation, I'll focus more on a different challenge. And it was actually when I can still really point to this conversation. It was actually with a mentor of mine, not a credit union specific mentor, some of my own personal life, someone that does life well, and I trust him. He's a business owner as well, so we kind of had that connection where we understood each other. And at one point, we were talking about the challenges we face in our own business world, and I was maybe venting to him a little bit, and he's like, "Well, why would you ever consider like?" You know, you seem to have some ideas on how to do this better. Would you consider getting into a leadership role? And I was a senior commercial lender at the time, and I'd always been like, you know what, I'm fine doing what I do and being really good at that, right? And I'm like, no, it's just not me. I'm good. And he asked me this question, which which I pondered for a long time after, and that was, why not you? Right? So it's like, why is it not me, and why should it be others around me? Then, because if I'm not willing to step up and provide leadership to something where I see a better solution for, then I don't really have the time. I shouldn't be entitled to complain about it either. So this, why not you? That was a really a challenge that I struggled with internally, and I ultimately came to the conclusion, it's like, yeah, why not me? And that's really when I started investing in my own education. I did things like enrolled in my MBA, for example, and made myself valuable to the organization to a point where, you know, when we were looking, the organization was looking for someone, then I was prepared to step in. So.
Thanks, Rob. So we're going to move to Amanda. Amanda, if you could tell us what the biggest challenge you have faced in your career and how did you overcome it?
For sure. And I'll put a disclaimer out. I'll get a little bit vulnerable personally in this one because it does relate really specifically professionally. So a few years back, felt like I was really hitting the stride of my career, I would say. Chair of CUYLM, was just into my second leadership role at Assiniboine, so into a mid-level branch at that point. 2 weeks into that role, just won the National Young Leader Award, was on, I think, 2 other boards at the time. I think I was on about 4 boards in total, as well as sort of taking on that leadership role, taking some courses, you know, doing it. I was doing my career and I was really excited about it. And then I had a really serious health event where I actually had a heart attack and just stopped me directly in my tracks at that point. So I had to obviously take a break from everything. And it was a case mentally of what will still be there once I've done taking this break, once I've had the time and taken the time personally to go back and do the physical health work that I needed to do. It was a really scary thing to say, okay, I know that things will sort of move on without me. Have I put the pieces in place with my team so that they will continue to move on without me and hit those strategic points that we've been talking about. But also, when will I feel okay enough to sort of jump back in? And I had to really do some both personal soul searching, but also really a deep dive on what are my values as a contributor to my credit union, as a contributor to the credit union system, and really streamline those values as what do I care about? What can I bring to the table? And it was a lesson in also streamlining what I can do well. So I really had to look at, okay, maybe 4 boards isn't what I need to be doing in my career right now. Maybe doing 1 or 2 things really well and focusing on those 1 or 2 things and streamlining my vision for myself and what I need to do is what is going to propel me to get there. So I came from a really vulnerable place of, okay, is my career kind of like done now? Am I stopped? Have I hit my peak? To really focusing on what was important, focusing on that vision where I needed to go, and through that really took a even further leadership role in my own credit union and step into a director role, and was able to really sort of cut out the noise. So that was really impactful to learn, okay, what is noise in this situation? What do I really need to focus on? How do I want to curate my own career? And how do I put my own passions and my own vision towards that?
Thank you for sharing that, Amanda. Yes, we were there for that. That was very stressful for all of us. We were very worried about you, but we were very glad you were okay. And it's definitely an eye-opening situation for yourself, which obviously turned into great things for you. Stacy, you are up next. What is the biggest challenge you have faced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, and thanks, Amanda, for sharing that story with your group today. Yeah, I would say that's it. I would say that I'm not going to be probably as specific as Rob and Amanda about a certain situation that was really pivotal in my career. Reflecting back over the last 10 years or so, I really feel that every role change that I've gone through has been a pretty big moment or event in my career. I started as an MSR, summer student casual, and then full time, working into deposit services, consumer, and then mortgage lending, marketing, learning and development, HR, and they've really brought all of their own challenges. Each role change, it just brings you a situation where you're working with new people, new resources, tools, maybe a new manager, or maybe through that becoming a manager myself, and just always tried to approach each situation or opportunity with some excitement and an open mind and that willingness to learn. Similar to what Rob was sharing, figuring out how do I want to educate myself and how can I grow based on this area that I'm in right now. So, did some professional development in the background as well during some of those role changes. So really happy that I did that. And yeah, followed a lot of the same approach and mindset with every role change, whether it's being an employee or a manager. I've said this before to other people, but I'm also fairly competitive at times. So I feel like there's this grounded desire to keep up with my peers and leaders, which has kept me pretty motivated to work some of the different challenges or unique situations that I've faced in my career.
I thought you were talking about golf personally, but yeah, again, she's very good at golf. Okay, yeah, I mean, my takeaway from that is everything can be planned for. Everything goes exactly how you expected. Yeah, I can see all of you are nodding in agreement. Okay, for the next question, Rob, we're gonna go to you for this one. Of all of you are long-standing credit union employees and have seen no doubt many changes over the last number of years. What recent or potential change is most exciting to you?
All right. Yeah, just before I answer that, Stacy, I think it's so cool that when you shared your career path, starting as a part-time teller, it's so cool that that career path is still available to people entering our system now, right? I was actually just going through some of our executive profiles for a different project, and a number of them started as tellers a number of years ago, right? And there's a bunch of people on this call who followed a similar career path or in leadership roles. And certainly, if anyone's on this call and you have a leadership ambition and you're maybe just starting out, be encouraged that path is still available to you. But that's not the question you asked me, Connor. Recent or potential changes. Given my line of work, it would be wrong for me not to make a reference to mergers. And that's not saying I'm an advocate for them, even though if you want to chat merger later, hit me up. But there's external forces putting pressure on the credit union system that is forcing credit unions to ask themselves difficult questions. And those difficult questions are resulting in mergers currently, as many smaller credit unions have trouble facing these forces. Where the opportunity lies here is that we get to reinvent really what a credit union looks like and how do we serve our community and still stay true to our cooperative values in a larger organization. Right, we can kind of shed the old ways of doing it and really reconsider, like, what is the future like? What does an exciting future look like for the credit union system? How do we still stay true to our roots? That's certainly what my world is surrounded by. And I think that, you know, if it hasn't impacted you yet, I think, you know, if you're around for 5-10 years, I think it'll certainly impact you likely as well. So, yeah.
Hey, Stacy, you have a couple minutes with this question before we move on to our next thing. Yeah, what recent or potential change is the most exciting thing to you?
Sure. Yeah, when I thought about what I'm most excited about for the near future is just really thinking about how excited and proud I am of the work and accomplishments of CUYLM. You know, they've really built and continue to build and foster this safe space for young leaders across the Manitoba credit union system to share ideas and collaborate and learn from one another. The group's really, you know, launched so many great programs and events over the last 10 years, and that have impacted so many leadership journeys in the credit union system, you know, including my own. So I'm just really excited to see what the group's going to do in the next 10 years and what the young leadership space will look like in the credit union system over the next, you know, 5 to 10 years.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. I feel like we have a lot of good content in here, a lot of takeaways for us. Yeah, I mean, very content heavy in a very short period of time. It's excellent. I'm very happy to see all of this. For our next part of the webinar, I'm actually going to hand it off to MC, who is currently on our Young Leaders Executive Committee as well. And she's just going to lead us through a little activity, which will be, I think, very exciting.
Thanks so much, Connor, and thanks so much to Amanda, Rob, and Stacy. A lot of takeaways for that. So I am going to walk everyone through an engagement session. So just give me a moment while I share my screen. So as you can see, there is a website and a code. It's minty.com. And when you go on there, there is a code for you to input. So I'll give everyone a minute or so just to do that. And this will just be an engaging way for us to answer these questions. So it's kind of us flipping the script to allow everyone to share their answers for these two questions. So what you would do is there are places that you can put in your answers. It looks like people are already putting some answers in there, and it creates a word cloud. And so I'll read some out loud afterwards, just to give everyone a couple minutes to put things in. But already we see things that like communication, community-minded. Feel like everyone is getting the gist of how to put this in. But yeah, if everyone could just put in just a couple, and in a couple minutes, I'll just read out some. So it looks like empathy and communication are really big out there. Another one that's standing out is patience, listen. And another thing is we are happy to share this afterwards just to do a recap if anyone wants to take a look at any of the things that everyone put out together. This is really a great tool. Megan suggested it to us, so it's just really awesome. It's really interactive. So I'll just give it maybe another minute and then we'll just move on to the next question. And so if you are on a computer or on your phone, you'll just have to move on to the next question. Just seeing if there's any other new ones. There's trust, there's humble, there's honesty. Really great. So I think we can move on to the next question. So there's never stop learning, invest in yourself, be curious, take chances. all really great stuff.
With the Never Stop Learning, I'm going to do a shameless plug for our website. We've talked about the Learning Commons on our website a few times. Amanda's mentioned it now as well for some podcasts. There are a lot of great books on there spanning a variety of topics. There are books about like condensed MBA programs are on there, podcasts. Again, lots of books from a lot of different well-known authors. The Never Stop Learning is such a broad category. If you find you're having trouble narrowing it down, I would again just encourage you to go there. And there's a lot of things that there's got to be something on there, I think, that would appeal to someone regardless of which direction they want to go. It's a good place to have a first step in trying to figure out maybe what you want to read about or learn about or do next.
So it looks like we're a little bit ahead of schedule. So perhaps maybe we could do a recap or final thoughts from our panelists, if you guys are okay being put on the spot like this. We didn't let you know that this was happening, but I feel like Rob is a go with the flow kind of guy. So Rob, we're going to start with you. If you have any final thoughts to share with us.
Final thoughts to share. When I was asked to participate in this meeting, I mean, it was an easy yes for me, but I can recall probably 10 years ago, the National Young Leaders Group put a webinar on similar to this, where they brought in some of the past award winners actually, and they had a conversation similar to this, where they shared their career path and things, and that conversation was super motivating to me, just because these people had real impact on their communities, right, and their credit unions, and it was really motivating to me. And the takeaway I had from that meeting was that my work really matters, and the credit union system is a great place to grow and to live out my personal mission. So yeah, if I can leave a final word for people on this call, is the credit union system is a fantastic place for you to grow and to have real impact on your surroundings, whether that be your professional surroundings or your community. So yeah, go at it. We've got a bunch of super talented people in the system, and on this call, I recognize some names. And thanks a bunch for the CUYLM team for inviting me. I'm honored to be here. So thanks.
Amanda, care to share some final thoughts?
Yeah, definitely agree with Rob. These sorts of conversations always leave you so invigorated to sort of take that next step in your career. And I would definitely recommend everyone take these opportunities as they come, for sure. Take advantage of the opportunities that come to you, absolutely. And yeah, just do that work to really get serious about your passion and your vision and how these opportunities can help you get to that next step. I agree the credit union system is such an exciting place to develop your career. I as well moved from student part-time MSR all the way up the ranks to where I am now. And so definitely that's a career path that's still available, just as Rob said. So the message is certainly the credit union is a place where you can definitely match your personal values to your career. And that's a really important thing, I think, for a lot of people, especially today. So thank you again to CUYLM also for having me here today, for giving me the opportunity to speak to some young leaders, which is definitely one of my passions. And yeah, just really appreciated the time today.
Thanks, Amanda. Stacy, last but not least, final thoughts to share?
Yeah, thanks. I have much of the same final thoughts as Rob and Amanda. Yeah, this space has really become something that like the Young Leadership Group is something that I have really enjoyed being a part of and plan to stay connected with, and have really found a lot of benefit from. So I hope the same to everyone else on the call and others who are going to participate in the future. Takeaway from the session, I really liked Rob's words about being curious and courageous. And some of those words also from the word map of taking initiative and really going for it. I think that a lot of us can kind of sit and stew and not know what's next or where to go, and just take some initiative and start somewhere. and don't expect others to make that happen for you. You know, you can make some things happen for yourself. So yeah, I would say that's a big takeaway. And you know, have some fun along the way. The credit union system is an amazing place to work. I'm biased, but great people work in the credit union system. So, you know, take advantage of that, get involved in the larger system, and have some fun, and yeah, enjoy yourself along the way.
All right, thank you all for those final thoughts. Do want to give a big thank you to everyone for attending today, taking time out of your day to join us. We'd like to also thank the CUYLM Executive Committee for hosting the event, Sarah from Credit Union Central of Manitoba for all her assistance, and a big thank you to Amanda, Rob, and Stacy for taking time out of their days to share their leadership journey and be vulnerable with us. Before everyone hops off though, we want to pass it off to Connor for a shameless plug. So Connor, you're up.
Two very quick things. The first one being that, so there are a few of us leaving the executive committee at the end of this year. Stacy and myself are two of those people. So, I mean, is it even worth joining? If we're not there, I don't, I'm just kidding. But what that means is we actually have openings for more people to join. So it's open right now. It's on our website if you want to submit an application to join. We're taking applications until the 15th. So if you haven't checked it out or looked at it already, I would highly encourage you to do so. The second thing is we're going to be sending out just a very short survey after the webinar. I think it's just a couple questions or 3 questions at most. Your feedback is very much appreciated. We put on these webinars and these conferences, whatever we do for you guys, so your input drives what we want to do. So if you could take just 5 minutes at most to give some feedback, that'd be very appreciative for the next committee. It's not my problem next year.
Please join us and ignore everything Connor said, except for the fact that it closes on the 15th of November.
When does it actually close then?
November 15th. I said ignore everything you said.
Oh, that part. Okay, yeah.
See, okay. Thanks everyone, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you all. Thanks again,
everyone.
Rob, Stacy, Amanda.
Thanks, see you.